Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. A court has heard chilling details about a Mayfield man who murdered his housemate while his girlfriend pretended to be the victim in messages to his family. Renee Lorraine Donald used Tyson Timothy Clark Robertson's Facebook account to convince his family he was still alive, months after the 24-year-old was buried in a shallow grave. And a warning, some viewers may find the following images distressing.
A devastated father leaves court after facing the man who killed his son. Tyson Timothy Clark Robertson met a gruesome end at this Mayfield home in July 2016, struck with a hammer at least 4 times by Ian Rosewall. The two men had been drinking and putting up curtains before an argument turned fatal. Rosewall's girlfriend, Renee Donald, then became an accessory to the murder. Both accused had maintained their innocence until the eve of a trial. Now they've admitted guilt to what prosecutors call a cunning and callous crime. More details today emerged during sentencing submissions in Launceston's Supreme Court. Messages sent by Donald to Mr. Clark Robertson's father were read aloud, demonstrating a sickening charade that lasted 9 months. One said, "I just found out today my missus is having twins," and another, "Happy Father's Day, Dad. Hope you're having a great day." In March 2017, his father grew suspicious. A missing persons report was filed, leading to an investigation and eventually a shallow grave in a backyard. Crown Prosecutor John Ransom described Donald as being party to a sophisticated plan over 9 months, all with the aim of convincing family and police that he was still alive. Father Timothy Clark fought back tears, bravely reading a victim impact statement in front of the killer and his accessory. "I feel I've been traumatised, manipulated and tortured," he said. This afternoon, lawyers for both Rosewall and Donald adjourned their submissions to await medical reports. Donald's defence might not be able to make its submissions until June, marking nearly 3 years since the murder. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
It's a nervous wait for Susan Neal-Fraser and her supporters tonight, with the Supreme Court confirming a decision in her case will be revealed tomorrow. She is fighting against her conviction for murdering her partner Bob Chappell on their yacht off Sandy Bay in 2009. Under new laws, she's arguing for another appeal, citing fresh and compelling evidence. Late this afternoon, the Supreme Court confirmed the case is listed for judgment tomorrow at 4 p.m, when Susan Neal-Fraser will learn her fate. A dedicated mental health facility in Hobart is still potentially decades away, but the government's new plan has been welcomed by medical professionals today. It comes as the first question time of 2019 kicked off in Parliament, with an unusually quiet start to the year.
A lighter start to the first question time of 2019. Treasurer Peter Gutwin and Labor's David O'Byrne trading blows.
More like a tall Papa Smurf, to be honest. More like a tall Papa Smurf. Dr. Eagle. Now, Madam Speaker.
I think you deserve that one, Treasurer.
The government's focus remaining on health after it announced yesterday plans to build a new mental health facility in Hobart at the Repatriation Centre.
We need to work through some detail, but we will fund it as soon as we can and build it as soon as we can. It will take pressure off the mental health services within K-Block, but more importantly, it will provide for better care for patients within the emergency department,
including specialist areas for new mothers and older people.
And at the moment, all of those services are provided through the Department of Psychiatry. That means we don't always have the staff with the specific skills and training to look after that range of people.
Back in Parliament, Labor and the Greens setting out their agendas for the year, calling for change in the wake of this summer's bushfires.
This is no criticism of our firefighters, Madam Speaker, but we as a Parliament need to make sure we resource them properly, that we are applying the best technologies.
We must make sure that we are better prepared. We must give our fireys and parks and wildlife specialists the tools and resources they need to keep people, homes and businesses safe.
Parliament resumes tomorrow. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
A 21-year-old male driver has been charged after allegedly being caught 4 times over the legal limit last night. Police say the man was involved in a crash at the Newnham BP service station earlier in the night and then left the scene. He was later located in a heavily intoxicated state, lying next to his vehicle in the driveway of his house. Anyone with information or dashcam video is asked to come forward. A new $54 million timber mill at Bell Bay will go ahead after receiving the rubber stamp from Georgetown Council. Patriarch Resources hopes to build the new mill at the former Southern Aluminium Wheel Plant. Georgetown councillors yesterday unanimously approved the development application. Once operational, the mill is expected to employ up to 80 people. Hobart commuters are facing major disruption tomorrow with the cancellation of hundreds of Metro bus services. Drivers are walking off the job for 4 hours as they escalate their dispute over pay and conditions. Our reporter Casey Treloar joins us now live from Franklin Square. Good evening, Casey. It looks like tomorrow is going to be difficult for commuters.
Yes, Joe, there's set to be large-scale disruption for public transport across the Greater Hobart region. Now, Metro has confirmed it's cancelling 535 services as bus drivers walk off the job in their fight for better pay and working conditions. Drivers will be holding a stop work meeting at the Springfield depot from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. 2 p.m. All Hobart services during the action are cancelled and dozens more affected in the surrounding hours. The strike won't, however, affect school services, and it does only apply to Metro, not other bus companies. Joe, for the full details, commuters should go to the Metro website and should be prepared for added traffic delays throughout the day.
It's going to be very hectic, my word. Thank you very much for that, Casey. A dreary start to the day triggered a warning for Hobart motorists. Low cloud enveloped the foothills of Mount Wellington and elevated areas west of Hobart. Drivers were urged to slow down and drive with caution as the fog descended on Vince's Saddle. 2 separate crashes were reported on that stretch of the Huon Highway this morning, but there were no serious injuries. Tasmania's largest hazelnut farm is gearing up for a crushing season. Hazelbray in Hagley says this year's crop is by far its biggest on record, with an estimated 20 tonnes set to be harvested over the next month.
It's hard to believe that just 5 short years ago, the owners of this hazelnut orchard didn't even eat them.
I didn't even eat hazelnuts before we bought this farm. We came and had a taste of the nuts and thought that they're a fantastic product, so we thought we would go ahead and buy it, and we haven't looked back since.
Now this is the state's largest producer and they're gearing up for a cracking season. Rows and rows, thousands of trees, all just waiting to be harvested.
We've had some great conditions leading into the harvest, and we've had a good 10-day crack before we're looking at rain coming, so we're nearly halfway through.
When the trees flower, the nuts inside fall to the ground. A specially built harvester like this one then runs across, sucking in the nuts and throwing out the dirt. This is the first time Christy has used this one, and so far so good.
It picks up the nuts much quicker than our machine, just a bit more cleaning afterwards.
It's hoped this bumper harvest will produce around 20 tonnes of nuts, which will then be exported across the state and even overseas. While this is the biggest crop they've had so far here at the farm, it's hoped in the next 4 years the crop will expand to be 50 tonnes. Hugh Williams from the state's northwest is another grower who's doubled his yield from last year.
I downsized a farm, bought a small one, had a couple of 100 trees on it, played with them for a year or two and thought I either pull them out or go bigger, and 3,000 trees later I went bigger.
And while it's a slow industry to take off, farmers are confident it'll only grow from here. Jessica Moran, 7 Tasmania News.
In the wake of the New Zealand mosque attacks, Harmony Week has taken on an important meaning in Tasmania. Events are continuing right through the week, celebrating cultural diversity. At the Glenorchy Library, students were told stories in English and Hindi.
We started off this morning with a minute's silence to remember the tragic events in Christchurch, and I think the message of Harmony Week this week is just as important now as it ever has been.
The students also learned some new moves from a local dancer who migrated here. The vision for one of Australia's first dementia villages has seen Lucy O'Flaherty awarded Tasmanian Telstra Businesswoman of the Year. Taking out the title at last night's awards, Lucy said she felt shocked yet humbled to be recognised for working in a sector she loves.
I have always done what I've done because I love working in the community space. To actually be acknowledged for that in this sort of environment, in this sort of way, is just stunning.
Glenview's specialist dementia village at Derwent Park is due to open next year.
Following their strongest and most injury-free pre-season in years, Lauderdale coach Darren Winters says expect his side to hit the ground running this TSL season, while the Launceston Tornadoes are also predicting a solid 2019 in the new NBL 1 competition after welcoming in their latest recruit. With some already putting the tag of flag favourite on Lauderdale's back, the Bombers coach is taking it in his stride.
Jeez, we haven't started playing yet. We're favourites. Well, look, that's good news, but I think we've got a long way before we get to that stage, I reckon.
Plagued by injury in recent years, last season's runners-up heads into 2019 with a clean bill of health, with star players Bryce Walsh and Thor Boscott all set for round one, having watched most of last year from the sidelines. And after being forced out of the coach's box for the first 6 games of 2018 with suspension, Winter is looking forward to getting straight in there on March 30 for the side's opener with North Hobart.
Bit of drive over this pre-season to really make amends now. We know what it takes to win it, and we've got a good solid group now that we can continue to build on it.
This pre-season we're a lot better placed to start off on a much higher note than we did last year. I think we won 1 out of the first 7 games last year.
To basketball, and the Launceston Tornadoes will be bolstered by some serious talent from across the ditch this season, with New Zealand international and former US college star Stella Black keen to make her impact felt in the new NBL 1 league.
One of my biggest assets is that I am versatile, so I've played on teams where I've played the 1, 2, 3, I've played a little bit of post and stuff, so I would primarily see myself as a guard, but playing the 1, 2 or 3 is any of those that I'm really happy with.
And Riverside and Launceston City will be looking to bounce back from disappointing starts to the NPL season in tonight's Launceston derby, with both sides yet to win a game.
Just coming up from championship, so we've seen a little bit of them in that league, but at the same time, yeah, it's only the first couple of games, so really anything can happen.
Still think we've got a large amount of improvement to come, so yeah, tough first 2 games, but we're not anywhere close to scratching the surface just yet.
Cricket, and the Tasmanian Tigers have their work cut out for them following the opening day of their Sheffield Shield clash with New South Wales at Blunston Arena, with the visitors 7 for 311 at stumps a short time ago. Jackson Bird, the best of the Tigers' attack, taking 3 scalps. It was a sombre start to day one, with players observing a minute's silence for the victims of the Christchurch massacre and a united showing of solidarity. Daniel Hughes and Nick Larkin setting the tone when play commenced in what will prove a long and testing morning for the home side. With the Tigers' attack struggling to find answers, the Blues' opening pair had plenty. Hughes notching up his half-ton after lunch before Jackson Bird provided the breakthrough, with the Tigers skipper pulling off something special in slips.
It's been caught at first slip after a drop chance from second slip. What a catch that was.
With selectors showing Hamish Kingston faith by naming him in the squad, at the paceman repaid it by removing one of the Blues' danger men.
Kicks around the wicket and he's bowling. He has taken the off stump of Curtis Patterson. He's gone for 14 and Tasmania has a second wicket.
Larkin making easier work of the quick, finding the Blunston boundary to bring up his 50. In need of wicket, Simon Malenko stepped up, dismissing Larkin on 67 before claiming the prize scalp of the Blues skipper just a couple of overs later. Bird then securing his second of the day in Nick Burtis to give the home side a slight glimmer of hope heading into day 2.
Good evening. Cloudy and humid today with just a light coastal shower and a late shower inland. Hobart 21 degrees, Launceston the state's warmest with 28, Burnie 24 and Devonport 22. Most temperatures above average, some by up to 6 degrees. Cressy 27, Ouse 26, Flinders Island 24, Low Head and Smithton 23, Strahan 22 and St Helens 21. A persistent band of cloud over the state today. The mid-north and far northeast had the clearest skies. Best rainfall to 3 p.m, 4 millimetres at Cradle Valley. More cloud is evident over southern waters. Most of the action surrounds the 2 cyclones, Trevor over far north Queensland and Veronica off the Pilbara coast. Tomorrow, a weak ridge of high pressure over our region. A trough tracks through the mainland as Veronica nears Port Hedland and Trevor moves towards the Gulf of Carpentaria. Winds Southwest to southeast at 5 to 15 knots, more variable over the north and east, with inshore afternoon sea breezes increasing to 20 knots over the west and northeast tomorrow. Hobart heading for a top tomorrow of 20, a possible shower or drizzle patch. Cygnet some drizzle as well, 19 the top and 22 for New Norfolk. Launceston, mostly fine until a shower or two moves in the afternoon, 26 degrees. Devonport some drizzle and 23 the top for Campbelltown. Burnie tomorrow a high of 23 with drizzle at times, same for Strawn but 21 degrees and 23 for Smithton. St Helens tomorrow 22, partly cloudy, bit of cloud for Swansea on 21 and 24 for Fingal. UV back down to a moderate 4 in Hobart and high for the rest of the state. On Friday, possible showers over the north, mainly fine elsewhere with light winds. Showers extending statewide on Saturday morning, light winds tending westerly in the evening, and on Sunday early showers clearing, but a redevelopment expected late in the day. A possible afternoon storm forecast for Perth, sunny and 30 in Adelaide, cloudy in Melbourne, showers for most of the centres up the east coast with a storm for Brisbane and Darwin. And Joe, it's partly cloudy everywhere at the moment with temperatures still in the 20s.
All right, Murph, thanks so much. That's all from the news team for now. See you a little later. Bye-bye.